The studio lights blazed down on the late-night set, reflecting off the polished desk where Stephen Colbert leaned forward with his usual charm and mischief. Across from him sat Rowan Atkinson, the legendary comedian known for his precision, silence, and timing. The audience buzzed with excitement, laughing before a single joke was told. The cameras rolled, applause thundered, and for a few moments, everything seemed ordinary until Colbert, in that trademark sly tone, leaned closer and said, "So Rowan, people say your humor belongs to a different era. Do you ever worry you've become outdated?" The audience gave an uneasy chuckle, unsure whether to laugh or wait. Rowan tilted his head slightly, eyes narrowing not in anger, but in calculation. "Outdated," he repeated softly, the word sharp as glass. "I thought comedy was timeless, Stephen. Unless, of course, we've stopped laughing at intelligence." The crowd oat, laughter mixed with surprise, and Colbert's grin faltered for the briefest second. What was meant to be a cheeky jab had become the spark for something unpredictable. Colbert tried to recover quickly, smiling wider than before. "Oh, come on, Rowan, your fans adore you. I just meant that physical comedy isn't exactly trendy." The laughter that followed was hesitant, forced. Rowan folded his hands, his movements calm but deliberate. "Trendy," he said quietly, the studio microphone catching every syllable. "If by trendy you mean short attention spans, predictable punchlines, and jokes that last as long as a tweet, then yes, perhaps I am not trendy." The crowd gasped, and the tension crackled like static. Colbert raised his eyebrows, leaning in, clearly relishing the conflict. "Hey, I'm just asking what the critics are thinking," he replied, his voice half defensive, half taunting. Rowan's eyes met his, unblinking. "And perhaps," he said slowly, "that's the problem. Too many talkers, not enough thinkers." The air seemed to still. The laughter faded. The camera operators exchanged uneasy glances, realizing this was no longer a light interview, it was a duel. For a moment, Colbert tried to steer it back into humor. All right, he chuckled, tapping his cards, "no need to turn it into a philosophy lecture, Rowan." But Atkinson didn't smile. "It's not philosophy," he replied evenly. "It's comedy. Or at least, what it used to be." The audience murmured softly, torn between sides. Colbert leaned back, adjusting his tie, visibly flustered. "You mean we've lost something?" he asked, half curious, half challenging. "Completely," Rowan answered without hesitation. "We've traded wit for reaction, patience for speed, craft for noise." His voice rose not in anger, but conviction. "Comedy should challenge. It should reflect. It should have rhythm. But now, it's just noise." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the air conditioning hum seemed distant. Then Colbert laughed, awkwardly. "Wow, deep stuff from Mr. Bean," he quipped. It was meant to break the tension, but it broke something else instead. Rowan's expression didn't change, but the shift in his eyes was unmistakable. The audience laughed uncomfortably. Rowan sat still, but a storm gathered beneath his calm exterior. "Ah yes," he said softly, "Mr. Bean. The character who spoke less and said more than most hosts do in an hour." A murmur rippled through the audience. Colbert tried to interject, but Rowan continued, his tone sharpening. "You know, Stephen, people think silence is emptiness. But it's the opposite. Silence reveals truth." The crowd fell silent again, hanging on every word. Colbert forced a smile, his trademark wit faltering. "You're taking this awfully seriously, Rowan. Do you not take comedy seriously?" Rowan countered instantly. "Then perhaps that explains the state of it." Gasps echoed from the stands. Colbert blinked, visibly thrown off balance. The segment's producers, watching from behind the glass, exchanged frantic gestures. Was this still entertainment, or had it become confrontation? Trying to regain control, Colbert chuckled nervously. "Come on, you can't tell me Mr. Bean was meant to be taken seriously." Rowan tilted his head, his voice low but resonant. He was meant to be understood. There's a difference. Colbert laughed too loudly. Oh, lighten up. You're among friends here. But Rowan didn't join in. Am I? He asked, eyes locked on him. Because it feels rather like being dissected. The crowd went quiet again. A flicker of unease crossed Colbert's face. Hey, I was just having fun, he said. At my expense, Rowan replied calmly. There's a difference between humor and ridicule. You, of all people, should know that. The laughter that followed was hollow, half-hearted. Colbert's show thrived on tension, but this felt dangerous, unpredictable, real. The host shifted in his seat, smiling mechanically. I think we hit a nerve, he said. Rowan's reply was simple, no, Stephen. You missed the point. 6. The atmosphere was electric now, half the audience thrilled, half mortified. Every breath, every blink felt magnified. Rowan leaned forward, his tone cutting yet composed. You invite guests to laugh with you, not at them. But sometimes, I think even you forget the line. The words hit like a punch wrapped in velvet. Colbert tried to laugh it off. That's part of the fun, he said quickly, his voice tightening. No, Rowan said, standing slowly, his movements precise, deliberate, unhurried. That's part of the problem. The camera followed him as he rose. Murmurs spread through the audience. Rowan, sit, come on, Colbert said, half laughing, half panicking. Rowan paused, looking out toward the crowd, the lights reflecting in his eyes. Comedy should unite, he said softly. Not humiliate. The silence was suffocating now. Even Colbert seemed at a loss for words. 7. For a long, unbearable moment, neither spoke. Then Colbert cleared his throat. Look, Rowan, if I offended you, you didn't offend me, Rowan interrupted quietly. You disappointed me. The words hung in the air like smoke. The audience gasped. You've built a stage out of wit, Rowan continued, but sometimes, you forget that even wit needs empathy. Colbert's lips parted, searching for a response, but none came. The cameras zoomed closer, every twitch of expression was magnified. You're one of the clever ones, Stephen, Rowan said, voice almost mournful. Don't waste it trying to prove you're cleverer. The audience was frozen, breathless. For the first time in years, Colbert looked human, not the invincible host, not the smug wit, just a man facing the truth in front of millions. 8. The crew signaled from the wings, desperate to cut to commercial, but the director hesitated. This was too powerful to interrupt. Colbert finally forced a smile, though his eyes betrayed uncertainty. Well, he said softly, this took quite a turn. Rowan tilted his head, his iconic half-smile appearing for the first time. That's the thing about comedy, he said. It turns when you least expect it. The crowd laughed nervously, unsure whether it was safe. Colbert chuckled weakly. You sure know how to make an exit line, he said. Exit? Rowan asked quietly. You might be right. The audience's laughter faded as the weight of his words sank in. Something in his tone suggested he wasn't joking. 9. Slowly, Rowan pushed his chair back. The screech of the legs against the studio floor echoed louder than any applause. Colbert blinked. Wait, are you serious? Rowan nodded once. Perfectly. He looked toward the audience, some cheering, some stunned, and gave a small, courteous bow. Thank you, he said simply. For listening. Colbert tried to interject, Rowan, come on, we're just talking, but his words were drowned out by the sound of Rowan walking off the stage. Every step echoed through the studio, measured, resolute, final. The audience erupted in whispers. The camera caught Colbert's stunned expression somewhere between regret and disbelief. The applause sign flickered uncertainly. No one knew whether to clap or stay silent. 10. The studio was in chaos. Crew members whispered, producers gestured wildly, and the audience remained glued to their seats, not knowing if what they had seen was real or staged. Colbert sat frozen, staring at the empty chair across from him, the echo of Rowan's words still hanging in the air. Then, almost reflexively, he tried to laugh, but the sound came out hollow. "Well," he said softly, "that's one for the books." The audience chuckled nervously, but the magic of the show had shattered. Backstage, the doors closed behind Rowan, his footsteps fading into silence. Outside, the city lights burned bright, indifferent to what had just unfolded inside the studio. And as the broadcast cut abruptly to commercial, the internet exploded clips, headlines, debates. Some called it a meltdown. Others called it brilliance. But one question lingered in every viewer's mind: had Rowan Atkinson just walked away from comedy, or had he just redefined it forever?